Good morning and welcome back to episode 3. Today we're going to make a live edge oak desk for my brother-in-law and see how it goes. I don't, because a lot of what I do is on site, I don't have big machinery in my workshop at home because, to be honest, I rarely use it. For straightening boards, generally I'd use a track saw, but today I'm going to show you a different method of how it can be done. So the route through method actually works pretty well. He did leave a few humps and bumps. The reason being is that the boards came already pre-machined and there were quite a few ripples in them. They're too big to pass through my thicknesser as they are, so I could have sanded them first, but it's easier just to plane them, sand them together once they're jointed together. So a bit of a fettling with the hand plane, and it's got the joints pretty good. So just to give you an idea of what dominoes are used, I use the 12 by 100s. The thickness of the bench is 35mm, that's how it's come. I didn't have 10s. Normally the rule of thumb is what you'd do is kind of a third. So you'd have 12mm, then 12mm domino, then 12mm, so that's 36. 10 would have been 30. I would have preferred to go under, but I didn't have any 10, so 12 is what I used. They're quite long, probably too long, but because they go in 50mm into each board, but the more they're in, the less chance of the board cupping. And as my brother-in-law didn't want to divide it up into smaller bits and rejoin it, we would just do it in the 2 slabs. So the wider domino is going to help a little bit to stop it cupping. So that's the reason for that. And then the reason for the funny glue up, or gluing it up on edge and then laying it over, is that my table is completely flat. I spend a lot of time getting it really good and perfectly flat. I also try and keep the glue off it, so that way I could clamp it together on the upright, wrap the plastic around it, which will stop it gluing to the bench, and then clamp it to the bench, and then use the holes and the Festool clamps at each end that you can just about see. If I bring it down, focus on there. That just means that the bench is completely flat and that table is completely flat. So hopefully at the end of it we should end up with a completely flat desk. So whenever I glue something, I always just test either with the offcut the strength of the glue, and if you try and break it and see where it breaks, whether it breaks on the glue joint. And again, you can see it's held really well. The wood's broken and not the glue joint.